Welcome to this talk. We're gonna discuss today with Brice and Benjamin about influence and outbound. So I hope you're ready. Okay, so let's begin. I'm gonna begin with a very quick presentation of who we are, Le Wagon. We're hosting this talk with Brice and Benjamin, who are gonna introduce themselves just after that. So I don't know if you guys in the chat can tell me if you know already Le Wagon. It seems that some of you have been taking a bootcamp with us. For those who don't know us already, we are a big community of more than 28,000 graduates around the world. Around 40% of our students are women, and we are present around more than 40 cities and in all the continents. So you can find us quite everywhere, whereas you're in Africa, in America, or in Asia. What makes us number one, according to you actually, is the fact that we are really hands-on in all our training, and we are favoring the fact that you can work in cohorts and apply your skill right after you're leaving our bootcamps. So more than 90% can apply their skills just after leaving their bootcamp with us. So I was quite telling that a lot of you are finding a job after leaving the bootcamp. Our alumni are also creating their own startups, and we're super pleased to see that the funds raised by our alumni reach more than 800 billion. So it's a great achievement to see that for us, and to see that they are providing to the community a lot of inspiration. What sets us apart is definitely our methodology. So for those who don't know us, here are some focus on how we do to teach you tech, teach you data, teach you AI. The first thing is learning by doing. I was telling that it's very hands-on. Then it's very intensive. We are known for our very quick but immersive bootcamps. And then we are known for the best learning tools. We have an in-house platform, and for our content, which is developed by a team in-house as well, and for our teachers who are experts coming from the professional world. We are also teaching data, AI, and tech to companies, so to big workforces worldwide, and they love having flexibility with us and having the possibility to scale a training we've been co-developing. So some of our bootcamps here: web dev, data science, data analytics, data engineering, and growth marketing, which is our newest training. So feel free to let us know if you're interested in any of them. And now I'm happy to introduce you our speakers today. So first we have Brice, who's the CEO of LaGrowthMachine. I let you present yourself.
No, okay. Thanks, Anne. As my first introduction, I would start with the fact that I'm among the 2,000 and something alumni that you mentioned. I was part of Le Wagon batch number 4, okay. I think. So
very early one.
one of the first, and still a big fan of the Le Wagon community. My name is Brice. I'm the founder of LaGrowthMachine. If some of you don't know or know LaGrowthMachine, I don't know, let me know in the chat. But LaGrowthMachine is a sales automation platform. We help sales and growth teams scale their outbound initiatives by letting them create custom workflows very similar to what you do when you create UML graph, UML diagram. If you did the Le Wagon, you probably know what UML means. That's basically one block, an arrow, another block. Well, you can create that kind of flow using LaGrowthMachine, and the blocks could be sending an email, checking if someone is a contact with me on LinkedIn, or sending a message on LinkedIn, sending a voice message on LinkedIn, clone your voice. And so we can send a personalized voice message on LinkedIn, and many other channels, so phone calls, Twitter. We have something like 25,000 users who tested LaGrowthMachine since the beginning, and a little bit more than 4,000 active users. What should I say? I created LaGrowthMachine after another company that I started, which was named Dezio. It's a growth marketing agency. And I'll stop at that moment. I don't think I need to say anything more.
We'll get back to you to know the success of LaGrowthMachine, to know more about you. Benjamin, you're the co-founder and CEO of Ivee. Can you tell us something about you, about your company?
Yes, sure. Thank you for having me. Maybe just like Brice, I should start with the fact that I'm a Le Wagon alumni as well. I was part of batch 11, so quite a long time ago. And Brice was actually among the jury of my demo day, which makes a lot of sense for us to be here today. About Ivee, basically, Ivee connects B2B companies and opinion leaders. So we help B2B companies identify business subject matter experts for them to grow their brand awareness, generate leads, and that could be around the organization of an event, the production of a content, the promotion of a feature, anything you can think of that will help a company rely on professional opinion leaders as a communication relay. I guess
awesome.
I'll be this short.
Thank you so much to both of you to be here. And so I'm Anne. I'm going to be your host today. And I'm the head of marketing of Le Wagon for Business, so dedicated to help companies transform their workforce and accelerate their actually data transformation. So let's start this talk. Just a reminder, if you have any question around our courses, please feel free to scan this QR code and we'll get back to you. So I'm entering directly to this talk, the B2B SaaS growth formula. So how to leverage influence and outreach for measurable growth results. Let's start with some context and definition. Maybe Brice, could you tell us in 2 words what is outreach?
Yes. Outreach or outbound, both words could work, is basically, let's use outbound, is quite the opposite of inbound. So everybody knows what inbound is, I presume.
Maybe not.
It's when people come to you. Your prospect, your leads are coming to you. And outbound is when you go outreach, go look for your leads. And there are different ways to do that. Historically, people used to call. So that's named cold call. You call someone that you don't know and to explain him that you have something to offer and that he should probably work with you. And then email became something. And so cold call has been introduced. And so sending message, email to your prospect. If some of you ask me the difference between cold email, that often happens, and spam, the difference is in the segmentation. We'll come back to that. When you do outreach or outbound, you segment your audience, and so you send messages, email, or any other channel to people that are keen to use your service. When you send spam, you basically send as many emails as you can, hopefully you'll get 0.00001% of clicks, etc., etc. Outreach is a really scalable channel. For example, when we do outreach, so on LaGrowthMachine, you can also automate not only email but also LinkedIn outreach. The average user of LaGrowthMachine gets 20% reply. So you can't compare this to any sort of spam. When you get 20% reply, that means that people in front of you are interested in what you're talking about. And 20% doesn't mean 20% people interested, but approximately half of those are interested. That's what we see in the stats. So approximately 10% positive reply. That's quite a huge number. And you probably don't get that when you're doing Facebook ads or Google ads. So that's really a scalable channel.
Okay. So maybe if I resume 2 words for outreach, when you go to people, like it's called, and you go to them directly.
2 words, message lead.
Message lead. Okay, clear. Thank you, Brice. And we'll deep dive in those figures just after that. Benjamin, for you, 2 words to describe influence? 3, okay.
So it's basically, it could be summarized to the strategic collaboration between a company selling to other companies and an opinion leader or professional having some kind of influence because he or she has an audience on LinkedIn, a newsletter, or so on, or just a position that makes him or her influential. And so, again, in a few words, B2B influencer marketing is the way for both of the parties to collaborate together.
Is KOL the sexiest acronym for you?
We could use it. I wouldn't qualify as sexy, but we could potentially use it.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Let's deep dive now on tips you guys would have for us around the essential steps you need to focus on when you want to launch an outreach strategy or an influence one. So let's begin with you, Brice. What are the steps you need to consider before to launch an outreach strategy?
Okay, not 2 words, but I promise I'll try to keep it short. So basically, the first question I would ask myself is, what problem is my service or my product solving? What's the pain that I'm trying to fix? Because when you put words on that, you probably start to define your persona. And that's the second question that you should ask. Who will feel that pain the most, basically? And the third question, maybe the most important one, is should you automate? Outreach doesn't mean automation. Okay, you can imagine you're selling something that costs, 5,000 euros per month. You probably don't want to automate anything. You probably want to identify precisely the one and only guy that should be paying for your solution, craft the perfect message that takes into account his blog, his marital status, number of children, and blah, 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 to get in touch with him and start a conversation. The goal is to start a conversation. And the most personalized, the more personalized the message, the best the results. And so if your annual contract value is really high, you probably don't want to automate anything. But if it goes maybe lower, let's say 5,000 a year, you probably don't want to spend that time for each individual lead. And so you probably want to identify the pain, identify the ideal customer, and then understand where he is. Does he use email? Does he use LinkedIn? Does he use Twitter? Does he use any other channel? And then start something small, maybe 100 people, no more, but with different strategies. The first one would be just be very commercial, say, okay, you have that pain, I have that solution that costs this amount of euros. Would you like to discuss? Another one, more like care strategy. One of my clients has that kind of pain. Do you have the same one? Do you have the same? Maybe I can help. Another one, maybe just looking for feedback. I'm writing an email, an article, a blog post about that pain. Usually people in your area have that pain. Would you mind answering a few questions? That kind of strategy. If you do multiple strategies, but just for 100 customers, then you'll find the one that works for you. And now you'll be able to automate.
Okay. I remember one thing which maybe in the spirit of a lot of B2B marketers, outreach is automation. So you've been telling the contrary. Outreach doesn't mean automation, which is a key insight. Thank you. We'll deep dive then on the channels, I think. Benjamin, on your side, influence, what should you consider before implementing an influence-driven campaign?
Yes, so I guess I'll just highlight 4 points, which are the main things to have in mind when one starts. The first one will be redundant with what Brice said, is that you need to understand your target at the core. And in everything you do, you need to, it all starts with how much you know your audience, how much you know what they care about, what's their pain points, and so on, because that's the way you will identify the topics of interest, and that's the way you will eventually end up with the right opinion leaders to collaborate with. Once this is done, you have to bear in mind that it's not a one-time thing. So just as outreach or outbound, or however you want to call it, is a regular venture that you just work with on a weekly basis, or advertising or SEO, when starting an influencer campaign, you have to have in mind that it will require test and learn and iterations and failing all the way to success, and to making it a scalable, not as scalable as outbound, but at least a successful channel for you. The third point is to keep a value-based approach in mind. What you don't want to do basically is ask someone you don't know to promote your content, to promote your product, and to just say that, hey, Le Wagon is great, but for whatever reason. What you want is to make sure that you can deliver value to the audience. And that could be because you have a specific insight to share, because you have a relevant event, a relevant content, anything that brings value to the table. And that's how you catch people's interest and make sure that you can then turn that interest into something that makes sense for you. And then I would say the last, but definitely not least advice that we always share is that you need to define the frame. And I think we'll touch base on this later on, but you need to define the frame that is important to you in terms of, again, who's your target, what they care about, what are the key messaging that you want to emphasize, and all these kind of things. But eventually you need to let creators create, because that's they are the one who know how to engage the audience. They are the one who know what works and what doesn't. So you just draw a playground for them, and then you let them operate to make sure that you foster authenticity, and then you just optimize for success.
Okay. So definitely being reckless testing many things, whether it's content or channels, is absolutely key. So you need to be resilient while you're a B2B marketer. Brice, which would you say channels? Well, we're immediately thinking about LinkedIn, but probably there's so many more channels. Which are the one you need to prioritize, and how do you do that? We're
talking B2B here. So yeah. I would focus on the B2B channels, and you all know that there's no hidden channel. Okay, so LinkedIn, email, phone, in a certain sense, WhatsApp. Don't abuse that. So let's focus on LinkedIn, email, and phone. As I mentioned earlier, the amount of money that you earn per contract will define the channel that you will use. For example, phone call, it works really well, but you consider approximately 5% of people you call will be hanging up. And so that's a small amount, but you usually close more with cold call than any other channel. Okay, so if you sell something really expensive, cold call. But to increase that 5% of hanging up, you probably want to warm your lead a little bit. And so an email before, a connection request on LinkedIn before will probably increase that amount, that percentage. And so, and that's not the perfect answer to which channel to choose, but I would say all channels, but depending on what you sell. The email will get you approximately 2 to 5% replies. LinkedIn will get you 15 to 20% replies. So that's a lot. So you probably want to use LinkedIn whatever you do. Email, well, still works, but 1 to 5% is quite low. So you probably want to consider that a cherry on the cake and favor start with LinkedIn, then move on to email, and move on to a call at the very end. I would say LinkedIn first, email, and then call.
We've noticed in Le Wagon for Business typically that the mix of those different channels is the best actually to have relevance and impact on our targets. So is that what you recommend? Having the
for you, yes. For a business like Le Wagon, the three would work perfectly. But as an example, for me, LaGrowthMachine, we can't do calls. I mean, calls would mean that you hire people, you have to pay their salary and stuff. So we only do email and LinkedIn for us.
Okay, that's what works best. Please share in the chat what strategy and channels you use and how you use them. It's super interesting to have your thought on these two. If I jump on the influence now, what's at stake? It is more the authenticity from the person you choose. You were mentioning that a bit before, Benjamin.
Yes. Well, as mentioned earlier, there's always this kind of tension between what a brand needs and what influencers or opinion leaders, so to speak, embodies in a way. So you want collaboration to look like the brand's DNA. So let's assume Le Wagon would collaborate with opinion leaders. Of course, you want any content that would go out there in the world and talk about Le Wagon in any way. You would want it to be compliant with Le Wagon's brand, but in a way, you also want it to be compliant with the influencer's identity and the way he or she usually addresses the audience, the way he or she talks, the topics he or she are used to talk about, and so on. So you always have this kind of tension, which is why you need a frame. It's kind of the rules of the game. They are defined by the company. And again, you will touch base on who you're targeting. What are you again? Circling back with what Brice said. You don't talk the same way if you're selling 100K per year contract to CFOs, or if you're selling 1,000K per year contract to SMBs entrepreneurs. So you want to clear this out to make sure that your opinion leaders, your communication relays are in the best way to perform. And once this is done, one thing is for sure is that the audience is engaged by the opinion leader, and he or she is definitely the best suited communication relay to engage them. So you want to give them the freedom within this playground to create content that is engaging, performing, and so on. And of course, it's not an exact science. It doesn't always work. It requires iteration, as we said. But you definitely need these two safeguards to make sure that you're optimizing for success, knowing that sometimes it's not going to be enough and it will require another set of testing.
Okay. So again, test and learn. Always.
Always.
Okay. Feel free to ask your question in the chat so we can focus on what's interests you. It's hard to, in so little time, to actually cover all the topics that would be relatively to influence and outbound. Let's now go on an example for each of you. Do you have a successful or either a specific campaign you'd like to talk about, which was interesting to share in terms of impact? Maybe, I don't know, Brice, you want to begin?
Okay. I always share the same example. Sorry for those who already heard about it. Because the reason why I like this example is because it shows that it's not just one channel network. So let me explain. In very, very long time ago, and maybe 6 years ago, we started a campaign for an insurance company that was just starting. And we outreached so they were focused on freelance and consulting people and only people working solo. We outreached to anyone in France working solo. So creative, consulting, designers, I don't know, anyone, solo entrepreneur, etc. But and it works really, really well. We helped them get their first 20K signups, 20,000 signups in less than 3 months. That was a huge success, but why? Because the strategy worked. So we tested multiple strategies, and the one that worked was basically that the identity that outreached to the solopreneur was herself, a solopreneur, and the message that was sent was, I just signed up to this insurance. Here is my code, my referral code. If you sign up using my link, I will go up and enter the first, be the first to enter the community of freelance that will be covered by this insurance. So please sign up using my link. And so people signed up also because they wanted to be nice to that solo person. And so it works really, really well. We tested multiple strategies. This one worked really well. One person shared, when they signed up, they had their own referral code and then also shared that code to other people. And so, it was multiplying the effect. And for the short story, this is the reason why we started LaGrowthMachine at the very beginning, because to reach out to creative, we needed Twitter. To reach out to consulting people, we needed LinkedIn. To reach out to entrepreneur, we needed the email. So we needed multiple channels. And so we built LaGrowthMachine.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
Indeed. We have a question, maybe. Interested in GrowthMachine? Okay, I can check that question while Benjamin, you want to share with us a Rex or a campaign that makes you proud?
Sure, of course. Well, first of all, I think I could mention a few brands that always come top of mind when thinking about influencer marketing and establish influencer marketing successes. You can think about Notion, you can think about SEMrush. I would say most recently you can think about Clay, which basically took LinkedIn by storm over the past 12 to 18 months. And it's definitely been instrumental into their success over the last few years. Maybe something that would touch the heart and mind of the audience more is another company we've helped called the Submagic, which basically is an AI-based video edition tool, launched earlier last year and reached. It's a public number, so I'm not betraying any secret here, but reached 1 million ARR in 90 days, which is a huge accomplishment based on again influencer marketing. So what they did and what they did really good is identifying who was touching the relevant audiences, and these relevant audiences was again as Brice said, segmented into smaller slices of solopreneurs, that could be content marketers, that could be marketing teams and stuff. And each vertical was basically worked around different messaging based on the pains, based on the value they wanted to emphasize. And that took them from 0 to $1 million ARR in 19 days. And they went even higher, but I'm not sure I can share these numbers. But that's definitely an instrumental success. And thinking that some companies could be basically non-existent a year ago and having this kind of revenue today is the best way to show the power of influencer marketing for a company.
That's super impressive, the figures. And so, yeah, you want to add something, Brice?
Mm-hmm.
No? Okay. Maybe a question on the challenges you're facing when working with companies, whether it's in outreach or for influence campaign. What are the biggest one, and maybe the most, we can begin with that, and maybe then with the most shocking question you have from clients, which is always for you who are experts, I don't know, funny to share, to educate us. You want?
Yeah, I have to confess, I missed the question because I was reading Lydia's question in the chat.
Yeah, we can answer this one just after. I was talking about the challenges you have when you're working with the companies, on an influence campaign. The most common, and the recurring question.
Yeah, I would say most of the time, and I think the way Brice and I framed the best practices also relates to this. Most of the time, the main challenge is that the companies don't really know deeply or with accuracy who they are selling to, why people are buying from them, why people are not buying from them, what is their key differentiator on the market and stuff. And it's not something they need to be ashamed of. It's something they actually share with us. But until you don't know this, you will definitely not be able to reach the hearts and minds of the people you're trying to reach. So the bigger challenge is the groundwork, is understanding your target at the core. And once this is done, it's almost easy to kind of pull the triggers and identify who can talk to them and mention a brand who can talk to them and mention an event who will make a difference, co-marketing and content and so on. This is almost the easy part once that you know who you're selling to and why they're buying from you.
Okay, thank you. And Brice?
I would say, can I reply with multiple reply?
Oh, yeah.
Answers? Okay, so 2 or 3 answers. The first one, you should not automate if you never tested anything. Don't start using automation tool to do outreach. That's the stupidest thing you can do, and that can harm your brand. So you use our automation only when you want to scale something that already worked manually. Okay, and so one of the challenges is that people come to us to automate. They should come to us to scale something that works. Okay. Second challenge. People want leads, and they want leads now. So they want to spam as much as they can, but they should not. They should target precisely. And segmentation is about 80% of the success of your outreach campaign. And so I don't have any statistical data to say this, but to my opinion, that's the most important part. Because, imagine this. If you're targeting community managers to explain them that you have a SaaS that helps community managers, okay, you will send a message to every community manager. The message will be complex to craft. Now imagine that you will that you contact community managers in SaaS companies, so in their own company, not in an agency, in their own company, and in companies with more than 50 people that just raised money. Okay, now you probably see the company, you see the contacts, and so you see his pain. And the message will be really easy to craft because, well, you're speaking to someone, but to the same person, but multiple times. You need to segment, and when you finish your segmentation, ask yourself, can I segment more? It doesn't take so much time to write a message, so you should create multiple segments and contact people with the thinnest segment possible. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Brice. So, okay, we can also take the question for Benjamin about Clay. Do you want to deep dive on this campaign?
Yeah. Well, it was a 18 to 24 month old strategy, so it's going to be hard to rephrase. But basically, Clay is definitely reinventing the way what we call GTM ops and what they are building has barely ever been seen before. So they really had a challenge to kind of educate the market and share some kind of thought leadership. And the right way they did that is that they engaged in a strong and like high scale opinion leader network, and they incentivized these people to just share on a monthly basis specific use cases with a specific value based on a specific pain point. And this definitely helps evangelizing a whole market and helping people understand how they could use a new tool like Clay, and more specifically what kind of value it would bring them. And they had literally tens and tens of people sharing use cases on LinkedIn or YouTube or in newsletters every week for a year and a half. And then all of a sudden, they just, there was some kind of inflection point and the growth took off. I'm not saying it's 100% of the reason, but it's definitely been a key factor of success for them.
Okay.
That's their first channel.
Yeah, obviously.
Acquisition of some. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we don't have so far any more questions, it seems.
Maybe I can answer Lydia.
Oh yeah, sorry. Absolutely. Put you in the shoes of Benjamin.
Yeah. 3 years ago, the B2C influence was, everybody was doing B2C influence campaign, and everybody was talking about sometime it will come to B2B. Well, it happened in 2024. If you do B2B and don't do influence, well, you're missing something. We started that kind of strategy this year in very, very late, but in June, something. And it works tremendously well. We've been following, you mentioned Clay, Benjamin. We've been following that kind of path. We have a community of users. Among that community, some are influencers. We use people using us, the authenticity. So people using us, they know our value, but they also know the product. We use them to promote the scenarios that you could imagine with LaGrowthMachine. And it works really, really well. We have something like 20 posts. That's not in the same range as Clay, of course. They have 10 posts a day. We have 20 or something, 20, 30, maybe more. I don't know. But more than 20 posts per sprint. So that's per 15 days. So something like this.
Which kind of profiles do they have, those influencers?
Maybe Benjamin should reply, confirm what I would say, but in our business, I would say that influencers are mostly agencies or freelance working in the outreach business and selling their stuff, selling their services. They have a huge base. They know that influence work, and so they post regularly on Twitter. They have a huge community. Well, they use us. They continue to publish on LinkedIn, but sometimes they talk about us.
Okay. Is it? Yeah, I had a question on this, maybe for you, Benjamin. A lot of time is that, small, do influencers in B2B have smaller community than, and are they the best actually because they are more aligned with your segment, kind of?
Yeah. Statistically, they have the highest level of engagement because whenever you need to grow, you definitely have to broaden your topics of expertise, and then you dilute in your audience in a way. But more specifically, depending on the industry you're operating in, we've helped clients in mobile networking. We've helped clients in cybersecurity. You don't have people with like 200,000 followers in this kind of industry, but it's not a problem. Because again, back to the average contract value, what we call the ACV, that Brice mentioned earlier. If you have let's assume you're in a market that with products that are bought for over 100,000 euros per year. If you have 2,000 or 3,000 people in your audience, chances are you have more than 50% of the market following you. So you definitely have an impact. And if you say that the sky is blue or this product is good, then people are going to look at it. So this is highly expensive, highly valuable, therefore highly expensive. And it sometimes is much more impactful than working with 100K 100K audience size follower influencers. So it really depends on the industry you're operating in, and again, it depends on the quality and the ability to that an influencer, an opinion leader, can have to engage the audience.
Most of the time in B2B, less is more, and quality means more than quantity. It's definitely
100%. Yeah.
So there's a question in the poll. Feel free to answer that. And maybe to wrap up a bit all the insights you've been sharing. So if we want to take some key takeaways, first off, understand your audience. Growth begins with a deep audience segmentation. So you need to craft the right message to that right segment. And it's quite 80% of your job to begin with. Then be reckless testing and exploring multiple strategies, contents, channels. Another thing you've been sharing, Brice, is test manually first and resist the urge to automate prematurely everything. And if you don't do B2B influence yet, please go, because it's revenue missed. So, yeah, we have one last question. How do you measure the ROI of such influencer marketing for your business from Erkam? And maybe we can finalize just after that one.
I
think it's a question for you, Brice.
For me?
Yeah, it's specifically.
I would say, can I ask you to, honestly, okay, I don't. And so Benjamin will tell, and that's interesting to me too. Can we measure this? What I know, and the reason why we do this is that what we know is that when people know us, when people and we ask them, during the onboarding, we ask them where did you know us, and basically branding is the first channel, the channel that drives the more trial to paid and the most important retention. Well, every KPI are higher when they know us initially. And so I don't measure ROI. I just measure the number of people who know me. And that increased thanks to influence. Why?
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. We could have a whole other conversation about attribution, but there's definitely some technical challenges, and I think anybody who spent enough time testing and trying to track everything knows that there's a ceiling above which nobody can rise, actually. But so yeah, there's a certain things you can track depending on your goals. That could be the impressions if you want to go for awareness. That could be the clicks, the traffic, and so on. But basically, as Brice said, there's only as far as you can go. So far you could go, and most importantly, there's a reason why when you need a pair of shoes, you just enter a Nike store, or you just go to the Apple store when you need a new phone without even thinking about it. And that's exactly what Brice said. That's branding. And that's because you've seen on repeat a messaging over and over again. There's no way Apple could tell which TV spot or YouTube ads made you buy this iPhone. But what they know is that they're one of the highest performing company in the world because of this investment. And just out of a good sense, I would say, thinking that in any industry, having the most influential people mentioning, sharing insights, events, content, and so on about a brand that wouldn't have a positive impact would feel like some kind of a nonsense to me.
That's always the thing, pair versus brand versus pairs, when actually it always go together. So, but true, it's more difficult to measure emotions than to actually focus on figures, which is already rational. Thank you so much, Brice and Benjamin. Maybe you could share your LinkedIn profile for the audience if they want to reach out to you after the talk. Well, thank you for all of you who were there with us, folks. Thank you, Brice.
Can I add one thing?
Of course.
Okay. Benjamin does influence, I do outreach. If you do both, that works really well. If you outreach to people engaging with your influencer's post, so someone posts about you, and then you engage with the one who commented on that post, it works extremely well. So that's another way to see the ROI of your campaign.
Okay. Thank you for this add-on. So do both if you're in a company, and come to Le Wagon to discover all what's behind influence, growth, outbound outreach, data, because all of this is actually super well intricated. So we'll be happy to teach you all of this. Thank you again, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bonne soirée.